To access the battery, you have to take these plastic clips off. If you just take a screwdriver and give them a 90-degree twist, check to see if they're loose. Sometimes they don't want to come out, but they can be carefully pried out. Sometimes they'll break and still need to be replaced. But it's just these two that are actually holding on this side panel. Just lift here, takes the whole panel. This gives access to a fuse panel and also for replacement of the battery or to do a battery reset. To replace the battery, you need a 10mm and a 13mm. First, disconnect. You have to take the brace off first. Just loosen these up. Okay, take the brace out of the way. It's going to give you clear access to the battery. Now there's two different places to disconnect it. One is here, that's the power feed for the rear fuse panel. That one you don't have to touch. There's another clip under here, a little further back, that's going to give you access to the connector at the top of the battery. Always disconnect the negative side first. Switch to a 10mm. Always like to make sure that the doors are unlocked. A window down is a good idea, just in case you have any problems. Move that out of the way. You can disconnect the positive side. I like to actually disconnect the hold down. The hold down's right here. And if you can see down there, there's that triangular hold down. So take the hold down out. It's going to lift right on out. Hopefully that O-ring stays on. That's going to keep that hold down in place. That's going to enable you to install that a lot easier. Next step is to disconnect the positive side. Just loosen up that 10mm nut on top of the positive terminal. You can lift this right off and move it out of your way. And the next step is to just go ahead and lift the battery right out. Keep in mind that you can slide it forward, give you some space, because there is another locking hold down that the battery actually slides onto, so it can't lift up. Don't forget to disconnect the vent tube. I'm not going to pull it completely out. I'm going to go ahead and do the reinstallation, which would be you drop the battery in, install your vent tube. You can drop your positive cable on. slide it forward so it bottoms out against the front part of the battery well. And you could go ahead and install the negative side. Actually, before we do that, before you're installing the negative side, it'd be a good idea to slide down the hole down. Once you get it into place, you can get it started. And once it's started, you can go ahead and tighten it up. You can see how it holds onto the lip of the battery. Go ahead and tighten that up. Now, with BMW batteries, it is recommended that you have the battery registered. That basically tells the vehicle that it has a new battery installed, and it does somewhat change the charging style of the battery. It's not something that you necessarily have to do. It's not going to make that much of a difference if you don't do a battery registration. Now, if you change from this white style battery, which does have liquid cells, if you switch to an AGM or glass mat battery, you will definitely want to have that programmed in, because the way that those batteries are charged are different, and it could cause damage to an AGM battery. And an AGM battery is a better battery for a BMW. It tends to last longer and be able to withstand a discharge. There's a lot of electronics on these vehicles, and a lot of times you can end up with some battery issues. An AGM battery can be retrofitted into these vehicles, but a programming is required to tell the vehicle that it has an AGM battery. Just double check, make sure your connections are tight. I've seen loose battery connections cause a lot of strange problems, a lot of strange faults. There'll end up being a lot of power supply faults. You can have hesitations, misfires. Put your brace on. And then the final step is just to install. Keep sliding down on me. Let's do this one first. It is a one-handed install. Taping and trying to do this all in one shot, but the final step is to just install the hole down. And remember to set the time and date, because disconnecting the battery you'll lose your time and date. You might also get a ABS warning. All you have to do to turn that off is to sweep the steering wheel from left to right, and that will reset the calibration of the steering angle sensor. Let's see, the battery was just replaced. And you got a 4x4, this all-wheel drive, and we have to reset the time and date. Now you'll get this warning for the 4x4. This can also happen if you end up with a low voltage situation and your battery gets drained and it shuts off a 30G relay. It will actually cause, in some cases, the 4x4 warning to come on, or the all-wheel drive warning. All you really have to do is turn the steering wheel all gone. And that's going to reset the steering angle sensor calibration. Now with a steering angle sensor replacement, it does need to be programmed and calibrated using a BMW tester. To reset the time and date, I'll just go back to the main menu screen. You're going to press straight down on the iDrive. It's going to give us these settings here. You can see we're already in. We have info sources, settings, display off. Settings is what we want. And we go to time and date. And this is where we're going to set our time and date. And you scroll over to set the date. Go back to the main menu. This is also where you can set your tire pressure monitor under vehicle and tires. Alright, we have lighting. This is also for car key memory. I like the triple turn signal being turned on. This one's actually off. Door locks, so that you can have them lock after driving, and confirmation if you have the alarm installed. Tire pressure monitor, TPM. You would hit reset here. That will reset the tire pressure. It's a good idea to do this reset whenever you actually add air to your tires, which should be checked once a month, and then do a reset so it can relearn the tire pressures.